Good grief. What the F has happened to produce such a weak gem? He responded by saying that would be better than some fat pansy. A man can't provide for and treat his girlfriend? Not when he's jobless!
Show me!
Do you believe this? No! When Lizzie was born, I never felt a real connection to her the way most mothers feel with their children. So hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Layla, and before we get into the video, I just want to say one quick thing. Happy 3K, happy 3K, happy 3K, happy 3K. You know, we should just edit, a 3 post-edit. Okay. Ta-ta! Happy 3K! Yeah! I just want to say I am so incredibly thankful for everyone who has subscribed, liked, commented, shared, done all the cool swag things. Cheers to that! Back to our regularly scheduled programming. So every last Friday of the month, I post Am I the A-Hole stories. And in case you don't know what Am I the A-Hole is a subreddit on Reddit where people can post a story or a situation or something that happened and ask the timeless question, am I the A-Hole? And from there, people in the comment section will go yes, no, maybe so, everybody sucks here, so on and so forth. My main go-to is actually 2 Instagram pages called Viral Reddit and Toxic Reddit. Toxic Reddit curates a page full of the most toxic Reddit stories, not just from Am I the A-Hole, and Viral Reddit is more of a passive, open-ended, multi-subreddit page. So they're my main go-to. I use them for just about every single video, and they will be linked down below if you want to go give them a follow. Everyone get comfortable, cozy on up, grab your snacks, and let's just dive right in with the first post. Would I be the a-hole for telling my daughter to stop pushing for a relationship that's never gonna happen? I have 6 kids. Lizzie, 16 female, Haley, 14 female, Mark, 10 male, Jada, 9 female, Alan, 6 male, and Toby, 4 male. That is so many children. Lizzie and Haley are from a previous relationship, while the rest are with my current husband. When Lizzie was born, I never felt a real connection to her the way most mothers feel with their children. I couldn't explain it, but instead of love or joy, I just felt indifference. My mother told me that she felt the same when I was born, but once I was a toddler, she felt the motherly love for me that she was supposed to. I waited for that, and it never happened. My whole life, I haven't felt parental love for her the way I have my other kids. Don't get me wrong, I love her, but not in the deep way a mother usually loves her kids. Ex-husband and I eventually got divorced, and I met my current husband. We expanded our family, and I have never been happier than I have with this man and my kids. Lizzie and Haley are split custody with my husband, with them usually going every other week to his house. Unfortunately, Lizzie never liked my new husband. I did everything I could to get them to get along, and we even went to family therapy, but nothing worked. It's more than just a simple, you're not my dad kind of thing. She full-on hates him, which makes me so sad. She won't even be in the same room as him without me there, which makes him sad too. Lizzie has defied us more as she's gotten older, and it's stressful. I don't have any problems with Haley, but Lizzie, I feel, is too much for our family. She loves her siblings, of course, but things are tense otherwise. Now, for the instant that led to everything falling apart, Mark had gotten suspended from school for getting into a fight with someone else. He said it was in self-defense, and I believe him, but it's not an excuse to risk getting suspended for it. Husband and I yelling at him for it, and Lizzie stepped in and got in my face, telling me that I shouldn't talk to her brother that way. I told her to stay out of it because how my husband and I handle parenting is none of her business, but she refused to back down. My husband began arguing with her, and she told us to go F off, and things got a bit out of hand. My husband stepped back, and I got angry at her for mouthing off at me like that. Things are a bit hazy here, but it ended with me calling her dad and telling him to come get her. I told her to pack her necessities and that she can get the rest later, but she needs to go now. She's been living full-time at her dad's for a couple weeks now. Things have definitely cooled off, but this made me change my perspective in some ways. Lizzie has been trying to reconcile. She doesn't have her phone. We never let her have her phone at her dad's. Why? But my ex-husband has been keeping me in the know about it all, and she says she wants to apologize and make things right. She even wrote a letter to me asking to talk. I honestly don't think I want a relationship with her anymore. After all this, I just don't think it's worth it. I haven't responded, but my ex-husband wants us to try reconciliation and even offered to pay for family therapy. My husband agrees with me on not letting her back into my life. We'll allow her to see her siblings, but I don't want anything to do with her, honestly. Unfortunately, though, she hasn't gotten the hint and is still pushing for us to reconcile. We've had incidents like this before where she was sent to her dad's full-time for a while so we could cool off, but I think this time might be for good. The courts aren't involved in our custody, so there's no problem there, but I can't get her to stop and leave me alone. I'm planning to let her know that I don't want a relationship with her anymore and that she should let it go. Would I be the a-hole if I did this? Lady, you are a walking red flag. Please tell me this is not real. My heart breaks for Lizzie. Not just for Lizzie, but it sounds like they are verbally abusive, if not physical. Note the things got out of hand comment to the other kids too. Yeah, I picked up on a lot of red flags just in the first 3 minutes. So, the fact that she doesn't want to be alone in a room with the new husband, very telling, very weird, very strange, very red flaggy. I feel like this whole story is fake. I don't know. There's just I've read a lot of Reddit stories on this channel, and there's always this vibe about ones that are fake where they kind of go a little bit over the top. But here's the thing, situations like this happen in real life, so let's treat it like it is a real story. So, I think it's so damaging. You know, what I don't understand is why it was necessary for her, the original poster, to explain in the very beginning how she just never really loved Lizzie. You know, there's a lot of tension throughout the story. I feel like their relationship is clearly not the best. I feel like there might be weird abusive behaviors going on. I feel like if this story is true, then there's more depth to it, details were left out, and overall, you just sound like a gigantic a-hole. The fact that Lizzie stepped in and got in between the parents and her brother is also another very telling detail. Things got hazy, you're skipping over details, and then the mother is basically refusing to talk to her child and be like, yo, I don't want a relationship with you, which in and of itself is insane. But I feel like there's way more to this story than the original poster has led us to believe. For the sake of Lizzie, I hope she doesn't go back to this family, not because the mother doesn't want her, but because there's something off about the original poster and the stepfather, and there's just so many red flags throughout the story. There's just an uncomfortable vibe about this that I'm like, I don't know that I want Lizzie around the mother and stepfather. You just sound like a horrible parent. Sorry. And I know people are always like, give them the benefit of the doubt. No. Yeah, so you're the a-hole. You're part of the problem as well. You're like a major part of the problem. My full belief is that teenagers don't act out for no reason. I don't believe that Lizzie is acting the way she does for no reason. I think there's way more to the story, and I think there's way more to discover. And there's just something extremely red flaggy about this. You may or may not agree, and that's fine by me, but there's too many red flags within this story for me to just go like, well, it's fine you want to cut your 16-year-old daughter off. That's completely fine. So anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for insulting my husband for what he said about our daughter's boyfriend? My daughter, 17 female, recently started dating this boy, 17 male. He's her first boyfriend ever. One of my biggest concerns when my daughter started dating is her getting mistreated, an obvious concern. However, after meeting her boyfriend at one of his baseball games, she met him through one of her friends in baseball, I realized this was not something I had to be seriously concerned about. He is genuinely one of the sweetest people I have ever met. Every time I see him interact with the coaches, his teammates, his opponents, my daughter, etc., it is always positive. He is just generally a very soft-spoken and kind individual, always positive and happy. I also say this with no ill intent, but he is fairly short and somewhat tubby, which is relevant to my husband's opinion. I obviously do not care about this, as he is a good person and quite clearly treats my daughter well. When my husband met him earlier, however, he did not seem as happy. Once he had left, he told me that he don't think he was right for our daughter. He made comments about him not being man enough. Do you believe this? No! I said that our daughter clearly loves him, and he clearly loves our daughter, and that I'm happy she's with someone who is going to treat her right. My husband said that he would rather her be with the real man, not some short little gay kid. That's so mean. I got a little mad at this and said, what would you rather have him be then? Some big macho man that snaps at our daughter? He responded by saying that would be better than some fat pansy. I told him that he was just being an annoying to the kid for no reason other than he doesn't think he's man enough for some stupid arbitrary reason and that he should be supporting our daughter. He said, if you'd fine with our daughter dating a freaking pansy, so be it, I guess. He stormed off and I've been reflecting on it, and I think maybe what I've said was uncalled for as he has his own perspective on these things as a dad, and I should not have started throwing around insults as that does nothing to fix this issue for our daughter and her boyfriend. Then we have stupid people in the comment section. He's not expressing himself well, but it's not unreasonable for a father to want more than a nice guy who wouldn't protect his daughter in danger. He just needs to realize this is boyfriend one. She'll get bored eventually. I always like to play devil's advocate a little bit. I understand the perspective of wanting your daughter to be safe and protected, as people were saying. The father insults this child because he's short and tubby. I feel like everything the father expressed was really unnecessary and really insulting for absolutely no reason. I would much rather a child of mine be with someone who is very sweet and kind and caring and maybe a little bit more on the soft side than big and macho and mean, kind of like the father is. Insulting this basically child, 17 to me is a child, I'm sorry if you're 17, you're baby. Wow. 17 is pretty young. So it's not like at 17, this is who you're going to be the rest of your life. There are lots of guys at 17 who are a little more on the soft, less masculine side, who as they age, puberty, all these factors, all these things change. He can't help being short. I don't have enough context to say that the boyfriend would not be a good boyfriend, and that him not being a real man, calling him gay, my guy, what is your issue? He's 17, you're not a man at 17, you're a child. In some ways, I understand the father's concern, maybe a little bit, but I feel like it's weird how he went about expressing it. And him storming off, what are you, 5? Have an adult conversation. Put on your grown man pants. That's my perspective on it. I think that was just really mean and unnecessary, and there's about 800,000 ways that he could have expressed that much better. Anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for picking off the nuts on an ice cream cone? Yesterday, my 20 female boyfriend, 19 male, bought us both ice cream. When we got it, the server asked if I wanted a special type of cone, and I said yes, picking out what looked to me to be bits of cookie stuck to chocolate on the cone. My boyfriend got this as well, and it cost an extra $6 on top of the $18 it was for the ice cream. That's expensive. He paid for it to be his treat, even though I think he didn't expect it to be so expensive. When I started to eat, I realized it was bits of peanut. I'm not allergic, but I really don't like nuts that much, especially on sweet ice cream when the flavors don't match up. I started to try to pick off the nuts, but most of them were stuck on pretty hard. I eventually just ripped off the entire chocolate part of the cone and threw it in the bin. I don't like food waste. I didn't notice my boyfriend at first, but about 30 seconds later he stormed off and I could see he was crying, something I haven't seen him do ever before. I chased after him and asked him what was wrong, and he yelled at me for being ungrateful and for making him literally throw away his money for no reason. This made me upset as well, and I started crying too. He calmed down and comforted me after this, but never properly apologized. For some additional context, earlier that day we went to my favorite fast food place and I picked out something that I hadn't tried before rather than my regular. He paid for it, but I didn't end up eating it because I didn't really like it, so I let him have it. I felt hungry after that, and after I told him, he took me to get ice cream. Since I got home that day, he hasn't messaged me back at all, and I'm starting to get worried. Am I the a-hole? Edit. He apologized for yelling at me and has promised to take me out to a nice restaurant tomorrow. You're the a-hole. You, 1, he bought you food once that you wound up not eating. 2, you then complained about being hungry. 3, he then heard that and went to buy you more food, ice cream, which you then proceeded to Hulk smash in front of him. I get not liking nuts, but come on. 4, you somehow didn't realize the multiple things you did, which are generally considered rude. 5, somehow you made you hurting his feelings into you being the victim. 6, you wound up expecting an apology from him instead of the other way around. Also, did you even thank him for a single time for all of the food you wasted, or did you just repeatedly ask for food and waste it in front of him? Extra a-hole points for the situation added due to context from comments. 1. Boyfriend just lost his job! Number 2. Original poster expects boyfriend to treat her at a minimum 2 to 3 times a week, because he's male, and would ideally have him buy all of her food all of the time. 3. Still expects treats while boyfriend is jobless because he has savings. 4. At the same time, she refuses to spend anything on him because she's saving for a vacation and a car. 5. She knew she didn't like mustard but ordered the first meal with mustard anyway. There are extra a-hole points that could be attributed to other comments, but they aren't related to the situation described. Generally, I'm not very fussy, because I just normally order the same kinds of things. Today I just wanted something new, because it looked really yummy on TikTok, but it had way too much mustard, IRL, which I don't really like. Next time you want to try something new, do it with your own money, you're the a-hole. A man can't provide for and treat his girlfriend? Not when he's jobless! I don't like girls like this, and I feel like people might be like, you're a pick-me. I don't care. I'm gonna speak my truth on my channel. I don't like girls like this, and granted, they are pretty young. I don't like girls like this that expect their boyfriends to buy them things and buy them food and get me treats and do and give me what I want, and if I don't like it then you get me something else. I don't like those types of girls. Stop. There's just something icky about these types of people that when they're in a relationship they expect their partner to buy them food or just spend their money on them multiple times a week. Here's the thing, if you want to get your partner treats and snacks and gifts, and that's coming from you, and it's not something that's expected or enforced, that's one thing. But the thing is, she's saving for a vacation and a car, and it's like, you could just not go out to eat. You could make a sandwich at home. I understand that some people expect, like, in a relationship for them to get whatever they want from their partner, but I don't feel like this is realistic or healthy. The man is jobless, he got emotional because she's been wasting his money, that's really expensive for ice cream, who knows how much the other food costs, and who knows how much money he spent the whole day. When someone is jobless or just financially struggling, this is not the type of thing you should do to them. Am I the a-hole for yelling and screaming that I wish my grandpa would have cancer? I, 18 female, live in a different country from my grandparents. They live in Korea while I live abroad, and every school break I would visit Korea and stay at their house. This break, as I always do, visited Korea and went to their house. We arrived in Korea at midnight and was exhausted. As I opened the door, I bowed, a formal greeting to a person older than you, and said hello, but formally. Then, after leaving my suitcases aside, I laid on the couch to take a quick power nap. But then suddenly, my grandfather shouted, "Hey!" Surprised, I stood up and sat down. Then he started to lash out on me and yelled things like, "Do you have no respect? Why don't you greet us?" I was so shocked and flabbergasted that I froze. After my mom heard my grandfather shouting, she came rushing to me to figure out what happened. My mom tried to break the tension by laughing and saying, "She did say hello, I think you just didn't hear it." After a while, I started to realize how upset I was at the situation, and started to tear up as I said, "I did greet you." And also, since it was in front of all of my family members, I felt more upset. I left the living room while bawling my eyes out and locked myself in the closet room. My mom came in the closet room and started to talk to me about it. As I talked about it, my anger reached its top and I started to scream, cry, and started to bring up things that he said in the past. Last year, when I visited Korea, I got COVID and lost my taste buds. So naturally, I would eat less than before. I'm not sure what made him so upset and mad, but he started to bring up about my cancer that I had when I was a child, and how because of me, my parents had to suffer and lost so much money. Yay. I don't know how that was relevant and why he decided to scold me about it now that I got cured like years ago, but yeah, obviously I got upset. Also, around 2 years ago, he all of a sudden started to scold me about how I was sick, affected my parents and family, and how my family living apart was my fault. My family used to all live in abroad, but after I got sick, me and my mom moved to Korea, so we lived apart for a few years. Coming back to the present, I started talking about how he said those things to be, and I shouted, "I wish he would get cancer and experience how it feels to be said those things in front of your face." Even though I shouted this in a separate room, it probably reached to the living room where he was in. And as my anger elevated, I started to say that line again and again a few times before I calmed down. I've been avoiding my grandfather ever since. Am I the a-hole? Good grief. What the F is happening to produce such a weak So I don't even know if her grandfather heard her, so it's really not that big of a deal if he didn't. She was just saying something in her anger. I don't know what a grandfather's problem is. You know, this is kind of a separate culture from my own, so I don't know that I can really provide a lot of insight. So from my perspective, he just sounds like he's kinda nasty. This wouldn't make you an a-hole unless you said it to his face, but even then, he sounds like he just enjoys being cruel. I don't know what this guy's problem is, but yikes. I think it's more that the original poster, she wants him to feel what she felt, because cancer is one of those things that is completely outside your control, and it's not your fault if you fall ill with something like cancer. And it just sounds like he's tweaking because she laid down on the couch to take a nap. That's kind of my take on things. He just sounds, like a very unpleasant individual to be around. Anyways, on to the next one. Am I the a-hole for making one slightly suggestive joke to my friend's daughter? I, 45 male, have this friend named Anthony, 45 male. Tony has a 19-year-old daughter named Gina. This past July, my wife and I invited Tony and his family over to our house for the evening. So they came over, and for the most part, we all had a good time. Gina came dressed up in a blouse, but she left the lower buttons of her blouse unbuttoned so we could all see her midriff. Where it all went wrong was near the end of the night. Gina is definitely in the stage of her life where she's trying to act sexy in front of older men. Her blouse was low-cut enough that if I was standing up and she was sitting down, I could see down her shirt and could see her entire body. That's kind of how shirts work if you're standing above them. Anyway, our conversation shifted towards Gina's experience in college so far and her goals for the future, and by this point in the night, I had about 1.5 beers, so I jokingly told Gina to keep her blouse unbuttoned, and she'll have a hell of a time with her male classmates. That was literally the only thing I said that could have been taken as inappropriate. You think? Yet Tony and his wife just glared at me, and their daughter was just sitting there blushing, and she frantically buttoned up her blouse. I got into a short but vicious argument with Anthony and his wife, and eventually they just grabbed Gina and they stormed out of our backyard in anger and disgust. Anthony has completely taken himself out of my life now. He's blocked me on Facebook, he goes out of his way to avoid driving too close to my house, and he never, ever answers my calls, and he never replies to my text messages. I don't think this is a thing. I stopped reading there. You're the a-hole for saying that. Yeah, that's not a thing. No girl in the history of girls has ever had a stage where she wanted to look sexy to way older men. That or their father's friend. We need a you are the creepy a-hole vote. You're the a-hole. Ew. That's definitely not a phase, and if it is, I've never heard of that. As a girl and as a lady and as someone who was once 19, I've never heard of this as a phase. I have sisters. I've known other girls, throughout my life. There's nothing really appealing about men that old. Sorry, like, most of them are really just not something a lot of 19-year-olds are gonna be like, oh, I want to be sexy in front of them. Like, I don't know who told this guy this, but that's not a thing. And one of my favorite things about these stories is you realize that these people are not very reliable narrators. I have no idea if that's the only comment he made for his friend and their wife to react that way. It would seem that Gina was not intentionally trying to do anything weird with her shirt, as when he pointed it out, she immediately buttoned up her blouse. So that kind of tells me that, like, maybe she just wasn't aware certain shirts unbutton really easily, or maybe she just didn't realize, like, it might attract the wrong kind of attention. But I feel like this guy is maybe not the most reliable narrator, because there has to be more to the story. And, yeah. Kind of makes your skin crawl when you read through it a little bit. So yeah, you're 100% the a-hole. No doubt about it. None. Yeah. Am I the a-hole for vandalizing my neighbor's dog's winter coat? Hey Reddit, thought I'd get your opinion on this dispute I've had with my neighbor over the last 3 months. My neighbor, 87 female, and I, 28 male, live in a rural area and access our driveways through a wooded back road shared with 2 other houses. We live up north, and in the mornings it can stay dark until almost 8 a.m. My neighbor is older, nearly blind, and very stubborn. She has a support dog, 4 male, I love that they include the age of the dog, that helps her see, although he is not registered by any means. He is a friendly black lab, and she has dressed him in a dog coat for warmth for as long as I can remember. The problem is, she lets the dog out in the morning to defecate, and he has freedom to roam the shared road. Being a black dog and wearing a dark black coat, he is almost impossible to see in the winter months. Between my neighbors and I, we have nearly hit this dog over 8 times in the past 2 months. I've talked to the neighbor about getting him a new coat or fixing bells to his collar or something, but she's attached to his coat for some reason and refuses to go with bells as they are too noisy and would be difficult for her to remove in her condition. That makes sense. Eventually, I took matters into my own hands after nearly smoking this poor pup when I was backing onto the shared road in my truck. I took the coat off the dog and doused it in reflective spray paint. He sticks out like a sore thumb in the woods now, and my neighbors agreed it is much easier to see him. My neighbor had no idea for a few weeks until her step-nephew visited to help her with a plumbing issue and commented on the coat. She asked me about it, I owned up to it, and now she's furious talking about vandalism and lawsuits. I admit I could have got a separate reflective coat for him or used reflective tape or something, but I really think I helped more than I hurt the situation. Am I the a-hole? I can almost guarantee someone would hit this dog if someone didn't interfere at some point. This hair is driving me insane. I mean, I don't know why this woman is so attached to this coat, but you think she would be a little bit more attached to her dog not dying. I 100% someone is gonna hit this dog if someone didn't interfere. Black labs are really hard to see when it's dark. Have you ever had a black pet? They're really hard to see at night. You almost kill them all the time.
What?
I would be more worried about my dog's safety than his aesthetic. So I would say you're not the a-hole for doing this. Is it necessarily right to vandalize someone else's property? No, but for the well-being of the animal? I'm not gonna, what's the opposite of condone? Condemn. I'm not gonna condemn this. Anyways, on to the next one. Okay, so I have no idea how long this video is because I was filming it earlier when I was home alone. I was suddenly not home alone, so I'm gonna do one last one for the night and call it a night there. Who knows how long this video is? Am I the a-hole for teasing my girlfriend for talking about her hobbies? My girlfriend, 30 female, and I, 40 male, have lived together about 1 year. I am introverted and keep my interests to myself, while she is excitable and talkative and likes to gush about her interests. I listen politely, but I just don't care about most of the topics. And the chatter cuts into my quiet time. If I cut her off, she gets dejected and pouts. I explained it comes off as attention-seeking or attempting to impress me, and it helps her cut back on the extraneous details, but she still has her excited outbursts. Her newest, rediscovered obsession is Minecraft. I've listened to her random tidbits, I've even humored her when she asked my opinion on her concept house in creative mode. Today, while we were out with friends, she happily brought up her Minecraft progress. I teasingly, but honestly, said that at a certain age, Minecraft is a form of regression and shouldn't be shared so proudly and openly. She got quiet, the topic changed, but she had that dejected look the rest of the time. When we got home, she called me a jerk and said that I ruined her excitement for the game. She complained that I'm always encouraging her to find new interests and always mocking her choices. I argued that it wasn't mocking. It's a common opinion, and I shouldn't be afraid to share my opinions with her. I told her that I'm very close to never speaking to her again if she continues to act like this. If her enjoyment is dependent on my opinion, she should just keep her interest to herself. Am I the a-hole? Info, do you even like her? I do. I just like my space. We're working on getting separate bedrooms. When we started dating, we couldn't watch anything together without her spouting a semi-related fact every 5 minutes. I know I sound like an a-hole, but I'm trying to compromise. You don't sound like an a-hole, you're actively an a-hole. I fear this is not teasing, I fear this is just straight up bullying. When you date someone and they're going off about their hyperfixations or their interests or hobbies or whatever, usually your average normal person will be interested in that because they will be learning more about their partner. And if there is something that you're not so interested in, and if there's And if there's something you're not so interested in, that's fine, but to become very insulting and demeaning and almost, I want to say bullying your partner over their interests is incredibly weird. This guy is an a-hole. He threatened to break up with her, or I guess stop talking to her if she continued to act the way she does, and it just sounds like, again, we have a very unreliable narrator. I highly doubt she's pouting. She's probably just reacting to him very crudely expressing his disinterest in her interests. I just don't get it. I don't get people like this. Why are you dating someone if you don't want to know more about them? I understand. Sometimes people talk your ear off and you just want to sit there and live your life and do your thing and you don't want to listen about their interest in this particular subject for the next hour and a half. But there is so many better ways of telling people like, hey, so I don't really have the energy to discuss this right now, and I would love to discuss this with you later. I'm just, I'm kind of recharging right now. So if you could just give me a few hours, we can talk about this then. It's really not that hard. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. So many people, I think, don't actually like the people they're dating and living with or married to. It's like, why are you wasting your time with someone when you clearly don't like them? So you are the a-hole. And I stand by everything I said.
Show me! Show me!
So yeah, that was our final one of the night. Today I've been fighting incredible amounts of nausea, so I have to cut it off here because I think the lights are making me sick. I don't know what's going on. So I just want to say once more, thank you for 3K. It honestly means a lot to me, especially during this bout of illness. It's been weird to continue growing despite the difficulty I've been faced with as of late. And if you don't want to end the night here and you want to keep hanging out with me, I got good freaking news. I will link down to a playlist with all my Reddit stories, not just Am I the A-hole if you want to check that out, and an a-hole specific playlist. Hello? Focus on me. And I will also link down to the pages if you want to go give them a follow, read through the stories. There's a lot I'm just never going to be able to get to. Reddit has not been posting though as of late, so I'm a little worried. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you all enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you all here next time.